Hey guys, good evening. It's the Piri, the motivator here. So tonight I wanted to talk about something that really been bothering me over the past 1 week. Again, for those of you that have been following me lately, most of my videos have just been addressing the issues of racism and black mistreatment, the mistreatments of black people all over the world, America, and many other places, including here in Africa. I live in Zambia, by the way, Lusaka, Zambia, Africa. So tonight I wanted to address something because in the last few weeks, obviously after the death of George Floyd, we we we've just been talking about the problem that is there with regards to systematic racism that is in the American police force that has seen the deaths of so many people, including Philando Castillo and George Floyd being the latest victim. However, though that is just part of the bigger picture with regards to the amount of racism that exists against black people all over the world, not just in America, but all over the world. Most recently, we had China. In fact, if it's China, it's worse because it has even affected some of us living in our own countries like Zambia in Africa. You would think that it would be less in Africa. Well, you were wrong because we've had actually clear cut discrimination of black people right here in Africa, not in the old days, but currently, today. So those are activities that are happening against black people everywhere. And I was engaged in a debate with one of my colleagues online with what can we do in order for us to see a change, because for over 400 years we've just been complaining. What can we do that is different? And I came up with several ideas. Number one, there's got to be a complete change in the way things are being done in Africa. I believe that unless we make changes, serious development or changes in Africa, a black man everywhere else not going to be respected. In fact, Julius Malema just alluded to that, saying that we Africans don't love ourselves too much. But I think it's not really about Africans ourselves. It's about more to the development, the politics, the economics, and many other aspects. I don't want to talk about that now because we can spend years talking about how we can improve Africa and politically and many other areas. I, for one, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I believe that if Africa is gonna be in the current conditions where we've got several states, our problems are never gonna end unless we unite and make one country or one country called the United States of Africa. Things are not gonna change. So that's just my opinion. However, what I then also understand is that um, we've got serious problems in America with regards to racism and many other Africans, because most of these guys that side they're not willing to come back home. I believe that countries or people, or races or individuals can grow with or without political engagement. I'm a strong believer in that, in the aspect of being independent financially. I believe that if a person has got a financial capacity and financial independence, that person can actually exist with or without the government. For example, think about millionaires, people with actual real money, people with real money. Those guys don't even need the government in their lives. Think about billionaires, millionaires, even people that are successful in their life. They sometimes don't even need the government. In fact, government needs them. Politicians need them for their taxes and many others. And because of that, I believe that if we can be able to promote individual growth in specific African states or African individuals, we can be able to see a bigger difference with regards to how we behave. And that, I believe, is one of those things that can actually come from the Africans that are living in diaspora. For example, many black Americans have got a lot of entrepreneur ideas. And I it actually disappoints me that most of them are scared with the idea of them coming back home to Africa. But I believe that's the only way we're gonna end this nonsense. If these guys can actually come back home and take root here, Because I see this most of the time. Most of these famous celebrities, most of these people with ideas on TV like to say, no, China's taking over Africa, whatever, whatever. So, if it's true that China is indeed taking over Africa, what are you doing about it? You, as an African American or an African Asian or whatever, living anywhere, what are you doing about it? You've got your money, but you're stacking it up somewhere else. Why won't you come here in Africa and compete with them? In fact, it plays to your advantage because I believe if you, an American, say for example, Oprah Winfrey and her billions came down to Africa, believe me, she's gonna buy a lot of land and almost be given almost free thing because Chinese people are buying land here for free, literally, are getting land from chiefs at a very ridiculously low prices. So I believe if we can find a mean to make sure that we create a connection between every African that is living or as was sent out of Africa, especially those in America. They come back home and get resettled here, especially those living in poverty, because they have something that they can offer here and they have more potential to succeed here more than they would back home. Because here there's a lot of opportunities that they have thanks to their education and exposure to the world, which we need, frankly speaking, back here at home in Africa. So those are some of the ideas which I believe we can do. In fact, if we're gonna compete against the Chinese influence, we gotta see a lot of black Americans being exported back to Africa, them coming back home to invest, set up schools, set up shops, set up all those black businesses that they have out there. Now, most of them are scared to come back home because they don't want to leave their sweet, beautiful America. But that's hypocrisy. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can still create. You can still have your own base back there. You can treat America as your home, but at least come back and have a connection with Africa. Just invest something. Have land here. Believe me, there is land here. In fact, if you're one of those that is living in America and is looking for land in Africa, hook me up. Go on Facebook, look for Mr. P Motivation. I can actually get you connected to a lot of people with land that you can buy at ridiculously low prices. Let me give you an idea. Plots like a piece of land would cost you something around, for example, here in Zambia, it can cost you something around 8,000 kwacha. 8,000 kwacha, if you convert it to dollars, that's like what, $800 or less. For $800, you get yourself a huge piece of land, which you can actually own in your name. Okay, and you'll be happy. You can build your house, and building houses here is actually really cheap. Life is cheaper here. So to avoid some of these complaints and mistreatments, you might as well reconsider coming back home to Africa. It's a best alternative. It's an amazing idea. You just come here, you invest, then you come back and you can go back wherever you want to do your investment, your businesses, meet your family, but at least have a base here. By the way, that's what we Africans do. Every African that knows where the village are, they always have a connection to their villages. I was born in Lusaka, Zambia myself, but my father and my parents have actually come from the eastern part of Zambia. Okay, from time to time, my parents do go there to their villages. They've got properties there. As a result, some of us actually have little investments back to the home places where our parents come from, our villages. The idea is if life gets harder in Lusaka, you can still go back home. That's same thing with you guys. You have two homes. So if you're a black American, you can come back here, engage the government, they'll give you land. Look at Akon. He came to Africa, they give him business opportunities, and now he's lighting up Africa. Look at Steve Harvey. He came to Africa, and now Family Feud is in Africa, among many other investments. You can do the same thing. Instead of you just sitting there, writing blogs, tweeting about it, no, Africa has been taken over by China. What are you doing about it? Believe me, our police are crazy, but they're not gonna mistreat me like the way they do in America. Why? Because hello, I know them. Well, like we live to. We're buddies with the cops. We know them. So, for you to get the respect you should need, you gotta have a connection with your home ground. You gotta be connected to where you come from, and that is Africa. It's important that you create a connection. So if you do want to have a connection, for those of you living in America, you want to settle up in Africa, especially Zambia. I've never been any other place out of Zambia, by the way. But if you want to sit here and you don't know how to go about it, get in my inbox, Mr. P Motivation on Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram. Just go there and we can talk from there. I've got several ideas for you guys, which you can actually be able to invest in, and thereby creating the home. And by the way, you can invest in here even when you're really a young kid. Anybody here can invest. I'm giving you an idea. There are some people in Africa, here in Zambia, who go to a border town, buy some products, come and sell them back here in Zambia. In fact, for those of you guys living in America, we have got serious issues with regards to buying in electronics, phones, and whatnot. That's another business idea which, regardless of your age, you can actually be doing. You can be buying iPhones from America as cheap as they are, bring them to Africa, sell them at a ridiculously low price, and you'd make good money out of it. You can be bringing clothes and whatnot. There's a company that was made in Zambia by a Zambian who had gone to the United States. Soon he was traveling back home in Zambia buying stuff, and he made a company out of it, an e-commerce company. So what about that? Is a Zambian who had, in fact, many Zambians who've gone to America, that's what they do. They create some businesses that are connecting them with their local market, their local country where they come from. So I strongly advise each and every black American to connect to their heritage, connect with the culture, find a country in Africa. I know some of you are probably lost, but find a country in Africa where you can actually create a base, where you can have a house, you can have some businesses, some investments of some sort, where you know that if I go there, I've got a home, I've got a company, I've got something there. So that even when things go crazy in the United States, you know where to go. You can come back home and you'll be, in fact, with you guys, it'll be so easy for you. Getting passports here, getting NRCs here are so easy.